In this video we're going to look at an easy way to pre-charge your lubrication system on a newly rebuilt engine. It doesn't require special tooling, just a few fittings and an oil pump. Anyone can do this, and it allows you to have your engine primed and ready for start, and you don't have to use the starter motor or other ways to manually build up pressure. You're going to have it instantly when you put the engine in the machine. This is the oil filter manifold that the oil filter screws onto. So what we're doing here is essentially bypassing our oil pump. Where my finger is pointing is the unfiltered side of the manifold, and there's a hole there and a plug on the other side that we can tap into and pump oil in by hand, and it'll go through the filter, get filtered, and send clean oil to our engine, and that way we can prime everything without starting it. This is the fitting I'm tapping into the manifold with. I've taken the plug out and I've got a 7/8 UNO fitting to meet up with a JIC hose tail fitting with a 3/4 tail on it for my oil pump hose, and it just screws in like so, and then we fit the oil hose to that and we're right to start priming. So I've attached the hose now and I've started pumping. We're using 15W40 engine oil for this engine and the climate we're in. This is the turbo feed line. I've left that off now because I just want to make sure it's going to work, and I'm pumping enough just to fill up the oil filter, and it should come out that fitting for the turbo feed, and then we can cap that off and keep going. The oil's just started to shoot out now, so the filter's full. We can cap this fitting off, that way we can actually build oil pressure in the engine and force oil through all the oil galleries. This is where the oil pressure sensor screws into. The red grease is just to keep the hornets out while I had it exposed. A little bit more pumping shot the grease out. So you can see I've got a nice flow through there, so I can put the sensor in now, and that'll build up the engine oil pressure, and then I'm going to hook a gauge up, and that way we can read just how much pressure we can make just with a oil hand pump. So I've hooked the oil gauge up, and now I'm going to start pumping the oil, and you can see the oil pressure picks up very quickly doing it this way, and it's forcing all the air out of the oil galleries and filling the oil galleries full of oil. We're up around 15 psi there, or a bit over. I just hit 20 there. So it's quite impressive just how much oil pressure you can make just with a hand drum pump that normally don't create any pressure. You just use them for flow, for filling things. Oil's already started to push out the overhead through the rocker arms, so that's a good sign, and that was with only about 20 winds of that drum pump, so that was pretty quick. So I'm just going to pump a bit more oil in just to make sure I get oil everywhere while I'm all hooked up. But once you've built up pressure, 20 psi pressure, there's obviously nothing undone or anything silly like that inside or left out, and it's not dumping oil anywhere. So we're able to build pressure, we're able to get oil to the overhead, so we know that our system's working well. And when we hook the starter motor up and the rest of the gear and turn the key, it's going to be like as if the engine had just been shut off from running. Like the oil pressure is going to be there straight away. I've done it all types of ways. I've done it where I've just put the engine in, filled it up with oil, and then used the starter motor to wind it over and build oil pressure. That can be a bit sketchy at times. You do worry that if something was not done right, that you're just going to sit there and cause damage if you don't get oil pressure, because it can take a while doing it that way. So I find if you've got a oil manifold that allows you to tap into the unfiltered side of your filter, it's a really good idea to fill them this way, because it just gives you a peace of mind. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have a different way of priming a oil system on a engine, I'd love to hear from it. Leave it in the comment section.